How are we doing, everyone? Welcome to this latest episode of Fishing with G, and I'm back down at the Big Res here in Sussex. Decided to do a quick overnighter, grab the kit, and I came over last night, got in the boat, chucked the kit in there, and got to the swim just as it was getting dark. And things have gone really well. Basically, the way that I'm fishing this res this spring, because I'm not quite sure what's in here, sort of like specimen fish wise and species wise, is that I'm just fishing for everything. You know, I'm just literally using an all-rounders tactic. So I went out and I baited a quite long range, sort of around about 100 yards, 110 yards, something like that. But I baited with some small boilies, some pellets, some corn, and the idea is that, you know, I'm using 2-pound test curve rods, I'm using 8-pound line, size 10 hooks, and you know, I might catch myself a 2-pound roach, I might catch a 15-pound bream, or I might hook into one of those big res carp, and that is exactly what happened this morning. Woke up, put the rods back out on the spot, and literally within 15 minutes bobbin pulled up and I thought it was another bream bite, and then the reel just started churning, and I've just had one of the most amazing fights from a carp I've ever had. You know, catching them on light tackle at range when you've got big open water for them to swim around in, it's just so exciting. You know, you get them close to the net and then they power off again, you get them close to the net, they power off, and then they kite, and it just went on for about 40 minutes, this fight. And I've finally got it in the net. I'm going to go and show you in just a minute. I'll also then go through the sort of like the rigs that I'm using and the bait and stuff like that. Just if you are interested out there, I don't know, maybe someone is. But as you can tell by my voice, I'm really, really hyped up about this. It's exactly the type of thing that I was hoping would happen, rather than sitting out behind the carp rods. Most of the fish I thought would be spawning up in the shallows in the nature reserve, and it's a 300-acre lake with a nature reserve up one end. So I thought, well, whilst they're doing that, you know, like, there's no point fishing for fish if they're all spawning up in a nature reserve. And they're not actually spawning, by the way, people. I'm not fishing when the fish are spawning, but they're getting ready to spawn. This is May now, so you know, they're looking for shallow water. However, over on this side, you can see the big res behind me. Over on the other side to the sort of like the boat launch is a shallower area. It's around about 14 foot deep there, but it had form for doing some fish in May last year. It did 3 big uns last year from this area, and everyone else seems to have focused most of their attention down at the other end. But yeah, I've come over here, as I say, to fish for the sort of like the big roach, the big bream, and if a carp comes along, then that would be a bonus. And you know what? That's exactly what's happened. So I'm going to shut up, I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to take you out and show you what has just jumped onto my hook. Let's go and have a little look. Da, 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 da. I don't actually know how heavy this fish is going to be, but honestly, it really doesn't matter. It's a long common. It's taken up like the whole of the net. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and get in a bit closer. But yeah, it's a long common, probably, I don't know, maybe, I honestly don't know. It could be 20 pounds, it could be 25 pounds, it could be 15 pounds. The weight does not matter really, because, you know, I caught it, as I say, on those light tactics, light tackle, and the fight was unbelievable. I've got some phone footage from when I first hooked it. I just thought I'd have, because I didn't know if I was going to get it in, so I just got my phone out and just got a little bit of footage on my phone. So I'll put that up now whilst I go and get this fish ready, and then we'll bring it up onto the mat, give it away, yeah, have a little look at him. I think it's a him, and then get her back. But yes, first carp from the big res. Well, excuse the scruffy hair, but yeah, I just flicked the rods out first light onto the spots. Little pink Nutribaits Blank Saver wafter, and it's just tanked off, and I've hooked my first carp at Weirwood. It's pretty cool, because what I'm doing when I'm fishing here is I'm actually using little 2-pound test curve rods, 8-pound line, baiting up, and then I'm catching big bream through the night. There's loads of big bream in here. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, well, if a carp comes across, then I could hook it, and We got a big old fish out there that's not very happy, people. No idea if I'm going to get this in, but it's fun but scary at the same time, if that makes sense. Anyway, it's kiting over to the left. I better concentrate on this. Can't really do much. It's about I'm fishing 120 yards. And it's still about 80 yards out. So I'm going to concentrate, keep those fingers crossed. Hopefully, a big carp come. Oh. Right, here she is. So most definitely not the biggest carp I've ever caught, but one that is very memorable. Probably about 18 pounds, I reckon. Having lifted her out, she doesn't have a very big gut on her. But as I say, that's one of the things about, you know, when I joined this res, I knew I don't think there's any monsters in here. But I don't really know exactly what's in here, but you know, there might be. You know, oh, it's got a huge mouth, and that little size 10 is just nicks in the bottom lip. That is absolutely amazing. That hook looks tiny compared to that gob. That is ridiculous. That fish would have no problems eating two 24mm boilies. Right, anyway, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to get this one out of the net. That's the line out the way and weighed, but I want to concentrate on doing this, make sure that the fish care is there. And then once I've got her weighed, I'll come back on camera, we'll lift her up and I'll let you know what she weighs. Which actually weighed a little bit more than I thought, 22.5 pounds. Of the most immaculate wild Sussex common. Exactly why I joined this place. These fish are long, powerful, and hopefully it's going to let me hold it up. Come on, fish. Oh. There you go. I know you want to get back. I know. Let's just have a little lift up. There we go. How cool is that? 22.5 pounds of wild Sussex common. Huge mouth on it. Massive barbels. And caught on that little pink blank saver wafter from NutriBaits. Little like sort of 12mm to 10mm wafter. But I'm going to get this fish back now. It put up an absolutely amazing fight. As I say, about 40 minutes long that took to get it in. I've rested it well in the net before bringing it out and weighing it. That's really important. You know, let it get a bit of its energy back, let it recover from the fight a bit. Got everything ready up here, so all the sling was prepared, the camera is in place, and then we get the fish unhooked, little piece to camera, and then get it back in the water. Because I think this one, I don't know if it's female or a male actually. I think it looks like a male, this one, so let's put it back and then go and find those big fat ladies. And who knows, maybe in 20 years time we'll be catching some of its offspring. Oh. Well, there we go. One last look at her before she goes back. What an amazing creature. Thank you very much. Mwah. Off you go to your watery home. Yes. So I'm just about to put the kettle on and let the nets dry out, and then I'm going to get back home because I've actually got some plans with the family today. So I was planning to leave by 9 o'clock in the morning anyway. Like I said earlier, it was just a quick overnight session that's come good. Just thought I'd show you some of the rigs that I'm using to do this. Now, what I will say is that these rigs are sort of specimen rigs. So they're not carp rigs, they're specimen rigs. They are tied, let me see if I can show you this, with a I think it's a Corum helicopter bead setup. And basically what that is like two float stops with 2 little beads and then your connecting swivel on there. And all I'm doing is I'm just fishing it. I don't know if it can pick it up here, so that the rig comes down just above the lead rubber there. So I've got like that tail rubber that's in place above the lead, and then the rig is positioned about 6 inches up the line. A little 4-inch rig, that's a 10-pound mono to a size 10 hook, and then that little pink Nutrabaits Blank Saver wafter on there. And like I say, this session is all about, and the previous session as well, up here so far this year, it's all been about just catching whatever is out there, because a 2-pound roach or even a 3-pound roach would be able to eat that, a 15-pound bream, a big carp like you've just seen. And yeah, it's all about just learning the water. And I thought that whilst it's 300 acres, so whilst I'm sitting here watching the water, trying to figure out where the fish move to, how they move, I say at the moment I think that most of the fish are going to be up in the shallows, just right up the other end of the res, in a nature reserve that you can't get to. I think the nature reserve's about 80 acres itself. It's quite big, and it's very shallow up there. So I can imagine, you know, it's May time now, that most of the carp would be up there. But, and that's a big thing, I did my research, people. I did my research. And when you go onto a new water, it's always worth having an ask around, because right down the furthest end from the nature reserve is where I'm fishing. And as I say, this time last year, it did 3 big fish. I don't think it's done any fish so far this year, but it's done 1 now. But it did 3 big fish last year. So in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, there's always a chance, G. There's always a chance. But anyway, I'm waffling on, as I always do. I'm going to put the kettle on. Hopefully you've enjoyed this vlog. I'm going to keep doing more of these vlogs. Please do subscribe to the channel. It's not like a paid subscription, it just shows that you're interested in following what I'm doing. Please do share these videos onto your Facebook pages, onto your, what's it called now? It's not Twitter, is it? X? Tickety-tock? There's probably some other ones on there as well. But yeah, any of those things that you're on, you know, if there's any youngsters out there, you're probably on these cool platforms and stuff, whereas old folk like me are on YouTube. But yeah, please do share it for me, and let's spread the love. And if there's anything that you want to see me going out and doing, any type of fishing, because I do all sorts, or if you want to pick my brains over a subject, then yeah, just stick it in the comments below and I'll try and make a little video on it. But yeah, that's all for now. Peace and love, everyone. Catch you next episode of Fishing with G.